Hello, fourth graders. Are you magic fans? Do you like magic? All right. If you do, we got some word problems for you coming up here in just a moment. This is lesson 5.13. We're going to work with multiple step number stories. Okay, so word problems that have more than one step, which is really what almost all word problems in this point in fourth grade now have. There's not a lot that just have one step. And that's our objective here today, is to be able to solve some multiple step multiplication number stories. Right now, they might involve other steps than that as well. And you can see this big standard down here, right, which talks about solving real world problems, because this is what we want to do with math, right? We want to be able to solve problems in our lives and in the real world and in our future jobs and all of those things. So look at this math message. Now, I just want you to take a listen here. Mrs. Muckerhide wants to hire a group of magicians for Fun Friday. The group she found has 3 magicians, and the show was 2 hours long. Each magician charges $12 an hour. How much will it cost Mrs. Muckerhide to hire the group? Well, that can be a little bit confusing, right? Do you sometimes feel like she does? You can sometimes do, don't we? And so I have some tips for you, and these are numbered, but you don't necessarily have to go in order here. But these are 4 tips when you find yourself getting kind of stuck in a math problem, okay, about ideas that you can do. Number 1 is to reread the problem. And I'm sure that you've had teachers say that before. When you do reread the problem, these things can be helpful. Okay, the first one is to try to visualize the problem. What's that mean, visualize the problem? Yeah, you need to try to see the people, right, and the places and what's happening, right? So have a person, it's almost always a person in this problem, right? It's Mrs. Muckerhide. So imagine a teacher. If you know what she looks like, imagine her. And then where is she? Well, it looks like she is at school. Maybe she's at her house, right? Just get a picture, get that place. And then what's happening? Well, she's trying to pay these magicians. There's 3 of them. So if you can get that picture in your mind with this teacher and 3 magicians, and they're at school and she has to pay them, you are head and shoulders above somebody who hasn't done that yet. Okay. And then after you visualize, right, these 2 happen while you're rereading. Focus on the sentence with a question. Okay, one of the sentences in a math problem like this will have a question mark. Okay, so that's the one to spend a little extra time focusing on, right? And we can think about how our answer is going to sound. And then once you've done that, right, the key thing is to try to find a starting point, right? To think about, well, what could I do first in this problem? So I'm going to do that here, right? I'm going to reread that. Mrs. Muckerhide wants to hire a group of magicians for Fun Friday. The group she found had 3 magicians, and the show was 2 hours long. Each magician charges $12 an hour. How much will it cost Mrs. Muckerhide to hire the group? So as I look at that question, how much will it cost Mrs. Muckerhide? I know I'm going to start my answer like this. Mrs. Muckerhide, if I can spell, will spend, and then however much she's going to spend on this group. Okay, so I need to figure out how much she's going to spend on the whole group. So let's go through some steps here. Watch Mr. Wyatt as I kind of model these steps. So, all right, find my starting point. The group she found had 3 magicians, and the show was 2 hours long. Each magician charges $12 an hour. Well, I'm just going to start with the first magician. There he is, right? And he gets $12 in each hour. Let's try to do a different color. $12 an hour, and the show lasts 2 hours, right? So 12 times 2 equals 24. What is this 24? There, he's smiling. He got some money. I need to know what these numbers are. This 24 is the amount of money that magician number 1 gets paid. So magician number 2 and magician number 3 are going to get paid the same amount. Okay, that's what I read in the problem, right? They each get the same 24, 24, 24. And so I then, in order to find the answer to my problem, need to multiply 24 times 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 20 is 60. And so I get an answer. It's going to cost her $72. Then you want to make sure that that fits in your idea here, right? Mrs. Muckerhide will spend $72 on the group. Okay, this helps you to be able, once you do that, you're checking to see if it really fits here, right? And then you're just kind of using your common sense. If you got an answer like 12, like the number 9, if you said Mrs. Muckerhide will spend $9 on this group, that wouldn't make any sense because each musician charged $12 an hour. If you got an answer like 6,892, well, that's way too big. That's unreasonable, right? So we think about our own background knowledge as we work on these problems as well. All right, our goal, solving multiple step multiplication number stories. Open in your math journal to page 188. Okay, we're going to do some together. First thing I want you to do is to take a moment and read the situation up here and to look at the tables and try to figure out what these all mean. Don't skip to the questions. Spend some time looking at this. All right, let's see if you did that carefully. What are they trying to plan? They're trying to plan the spring fair. And how much does a burrito cost per item? $3, right? There's burritos, cost per item, $3. Okay, so making sure we understand the table is important. And now let's move to some of the questions. We're going to do at least one here together. The principal has several questions for Ian and Sarita about what they learned. Help them answer the principal's questions. Express solution strategies with single number models and answers with correct units. All right, let's do that. How much more would it cost to hire the tumblers than the singing group? So I have a group of tumblers and I have some singers. One of them costs more and I have to find the difference. I know there's going to be some subtracting in here somewhere, but first I have to find the cost of the tumblers. Okay, so let's look here. The tumblers, here they are. There are 8 tumblers and they will perform for 3 hours and each one makes $22 an hour. Wow, that is fabulous. So there's 8 of them. Each one will make $22 an hour for 3 hours. All right, well, let's start with just figuring out one of them. So if one tumbler is performing, that tumbler, she is going to make $22 for each hour and perform for 3 hours. What multiplication problem do we need to start with? Okay, I would start with 22 times 3. Okay, there is another way you could go about this, but this is going to be to figure out the cost of one tumbler. So 22 times 3. And as I estimate that, right, 20 times 3 is going to be 60. So 22 times 3. I'm going to draw the rectangle here. So 20 and 2, 60 and 6. Don't worry, I'll let you do the next one. So one tumbler is going to make $66. However, that's not the final cost of the tumblers. There are 8 of them. So we're going to multiply times 8. 66 times 8. Take a moment and figure that out for us. Okay, did you get 480 here and 48 here? If you don't have those numbers, right, if you just got the multiplication fact wrong, that's going to throw a monkey wrench in things. So make sure you check those facts. $528. All right, $528 for the tumblers. Well, now we need to figure out the singers. The singers. All right, come up here to the singers, and we can see. Well, what can we see? What can you see in the table about the singers? What did you learn by looking up there? Okay, a couple pieces of information. They make $16 an hour. They do 3 hours, and there's only 4 of them. So I know, is this going to be cheaper than the tumblers or more expensive? It's going to cost less, right? How do we know it's going to cost less? Okay, well, you might have said there's less performers. You might have said they charge less. Okay, either way, that's going to work. So, well, let's multiply 16 times 3. 3 times 6 is 18, and 3 times 10 is 30. There's some partial products. 48. So, if one singer makes $48. 48 for each singer. So now we need to find out how much all the singers are going to make. There's 4 of them. So let's do 48 times 4. Go ahead. And did you say you could have done the rectangle method? That's fine. I'm going to do partial products again. I got $192. So we now know that the tumblers are going to make more than the singers, right? And so how much more was the question? Okay, so the singers make 192. The tumblers make 528. So what are we going to do to find the difference in these two numbers? We are going to subtract. Okay, we should get a little estimating in here, 192. Because when we're estimating, let's see, this is going to be 500. This is going to be close to 200. So our answer should be around 300. What do you get? Let's check and see. I got $336. Okay, so when over here in our math journal, okay, now honestly, I didn't have anywhere near enough space, right? I did some of my estimating off to the side on my problems. I used a separate sheet of paper to do my work, and you can do that too. Okay, and then what you want to be able to come up with at the end was the answer to the question being asked. Okay, how much more would it cost to hire the tumblers than the singing group? All right, this has been, that's going to be a long video here. So let's talk about what I want you to do. There are 4 problems here on the next page, page 189. Hey, you have to pick 2 of those. You can pick whichever 2 you want. If you can pick number 2 and number 3, or if you want to pick the 2 others, if you want to try to do the really hard one, which is number 5, right? Try this is usually harder. You can. You have to choose 2 of those to try. None of these are going to take 1 step. You saw that we had to do lots and lots of steps. You probably don't have room here very much, so you might do your estimating and some of your calculations on another paper, and then be sure to hold that paper up with your math journal when you turn that in. All right, 4th graders, that is all for today. We did a lot of estimating and even more thinking through number stories, right? And solving those number stories. Looking back at our objective here, we solved multiple step multiplication number stories in some real world problems. All right, pick 2 of those problems. Good luck.